knocked down again when you haven't even fully gotten back up from the last one. And so, yeah, I really appreciate you being super patient and super kind about it. And so, yeah, thank you again.
Of course, absolutely the least I can do.
I've been sending things into the community, so I'm just going to let them know one last time.
Hi, William. How are you?
So William is actually one of our internal employees. He will be recording the session. And
Great.
so that way I can focus on engaging with you, engaging with the audience, letting you kind of do your thing. So William is one of our fabulous members of our GI team. And so he's going to be recording the session. So William, will you let me know if you should have the recording functionality all set up on your end? Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. So everything is set, all good to record now. Okay, sounds good. Invite link. So we should be having people join soon. Agents tend to join and delay their joining. So let's just sit tight and we will have them join soon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Okay. Yeah, just fine.
Okay. Perfect.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. You have all of your slides and everything like that ready to go, ready to share and everything, correct?
You got it. I've got that as well as the interest link that I'll send out a little bit later in the presentation. In fact, I'll probably send it out at the top of the presentation as well as the end.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. And if there's anything you need from me, probably better to text me than to do these. I generally won't be able to look at the chat, whereas I can take a quick side glance to my phone if need be.
Okay, sounds good. I will do that. I want to make sure that these. Hi, Monica. Oh, Monica is still connected to audio. Hi, Monica. Welcome. Oh, you're still muted, I believe.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We will be getting all started in just a moment. We are waiting on some more agents to trickle in. In my experience, they've not always been as punctual as I would like. But
yeah. Real estate agents being on time? Come on, get out of here.
Come on. No worries. See, now we're starting to get some faith in here.
Monica,
hi, Julie. Hi, Katie.
I am in Yorland, California.
Awesome. I grew up in Upland.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm based in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, wow. We're all over the place today.
Yeah, we are.
I love it.
Nice to see you, Monica.
Hi.
Hi.
Wait, so Monica, what I missed it. I might have missed it when you were speaking to Matt. I was just letting people in, but what markets do you serve?
I'm in North Orange County in Southern California.
North Orange County.
So,
Awesome,
yeah.
awesome.
Are you familiar?
I actually don't believe I've been to Orange County. I was living in LA back in 2022 while I was attending graduate school there.
Okay.
And so I was just sticking to that local area. I didn't really get the chance to travel too much northern towards Orange County, but
There's a lot to see in LA.
yeah, there's a lot to see in LA. And so that kind of held my attention for the majority of the time. But no, that's awesome. I've known a couple of agents now that I've gotten to get acquainted with that have been located in around the area. And so that's awesome. How long have you been in real estate?
Going on 8 years. So
8 years.
I stayed home and raised my 4 sons for 22 years and then went into real estate.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I don't want to wait too much longer, Matt, because I really want to make sure that you have as much time as possible to share your content. But I will give it just a few minutes, and I'm going to send out another reminder email to everyone that has registered just to make sure that they don't forget about us, because you've got a great presentation prepared and I want you to get the chance to share it with everyone. So.
Julie Rose and Katie Crenshaw, where are you, or which markets do you serve?
I am over in San Diego.
Good deal.
So, yeah, almost to Mexico. So I'm pretty far southern San Diego.
Good deal. What about you, Katie? Well, all right. I know the SoCal markets pretty well. As I'll introduce myself here in just a minute. I had the honor to lead an office or to lead an office, yes, in right on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. So I had to know the surrounding markets pretty well. I grew up in SoCal until I was going into high school before we transferred as a family to the Northeast. That said, honored to speak with you all. I have a fair number of coaching clients who work that particular stretch of land and know that it is quite a challenging market right now. So I applaud you all for continuing and sticking with it. Lots changing every day, right?
Yep. Definitely.
Absolutely. For sure.
%. Okay. So I just sent the email. Right now, let's go ahead and we'll get started. There will be more agents coming in as continue. But like I said, what I have come to find is that not everyone is the most punctual.
Totally get that. And in all my years of working as a real estate agent as well as a coach, whenever I'm training in a setting like this, you have to expect that not only is real estate time a very real thing, at the same time, I want to honor all of your time because you've shown up here on time. And those who choose to join will be here, which is great. And with that said, let's get it going. So, all right. So you have joined us today for a session that I in fact am honored to offer to all of you at Radius. So the session today is how to build a team that lasts. Now, before I start with the presentation, just to get an idea of who's in the room, Monica was good enough to share, and as well as Julie and Katie were good enough to share the markets you serve. Talk to me a little bit about how long you've been in the business, what your organization looks like. Just give me a quick 30-second snippet. I'd love to know where you are in your process.
So I can go. I've been in real estate for 8 years. I have been in my own brokerage for about a year, and I have 2 people on my team besides myself, plus an admin.
Great. So, and the 2 people on your team, are those buyers agents or
mostly buyers agents? Yeah, mostly buyer agents. Yeah.
Great, outstanding. Thank you so much, Monica. Julie, would you be willing to share where you are in your adventure in the real estate world? Sure, great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got my license. I haven't really done anything with it other than my own like investment purchases of properties, which I've lived in and then turned into rentals. That's kind of more of what I've been doing. But I am looking to actually maybe in this new year get into transacting with other people. So besides myself. So so I'm really interested to kind of hear what you have to share, and I'm excited to be here.
All right. I'm honored to have you here. So that's great. And then Katie, would you be willing to share where you are? Maybe Katie's not with us, but she'll say, okay. All right. So that's great to hear. So Monica, you are a so in fact you have an established team, like you have people who are working for you as well as with you that you're either mentoring or working as junior agents. And Julie, you are exploring to see where this world of real estate is going to take you in 2024. I love it. Outstanding. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So this is how to build a team that lasts. Pardon me just one moment, because I had a monitor die today and I am working off a lot less screen space than I normally would. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So our points of focus for today are 4. Looking at the mindset of a business manager versus a business owner. Second, looking at the signs that your business is ready to grow, and that's whether you are a single agent or you have an established organization, as we've already discussed in the session today. Using motivational goal setting to, in fact, grow to the point where your business is ready to go. And then holding yourself and your team accountable. Are any of these of particular interest to those who are here in the room?
Yeah, actually holding the team accountable would be something great, because that's been difficult for me.
This is the rare air thing that many real estate agents fail to in fact master. This is one of the keys to the kingdom in terms of like really growing an organization by design, as well as being not just the captain of your own destiny, but choosing to. It's also a great retention mechanism too, right? Because if not just for yourself, but for those around you, if you can help them grow into what they would choose to build for themselves, they will be loyal to you to the ends of the earth, right?
Yeah.
Can each of you think of one mentor or one person, be that a parent, be that a teacher, who really advocated for you on a high level somewhere in your past that held you accountable, where it was a positive experience for you?
When I first became an agent, I worked at my first team office for about 6 months, and then the top agent in the office recruited me to be on her team. And she has been doing high level real estate for 20 plus years. And obviously she was a top agent, not only in our office, but in Orange County. She was great. She had a different style. She just basically said, for the next 6 months, you're attached to my hip. Don't say anything. Just learn, just learn, just learn. So that's what I did. And so that was just kind of how I just learned by being exposed, right, to doing high level real estate.
Awesome.
So that was how I learned. And then, for me, I'm kind of more self-driven. So nobody has to convince me to go to work. I find that most agents, it's almost like you have to twist their arm to do things that they should just, I kind of feel like, do you need to feed your family or don't you? So that's the frustrating part.
I know that particular struggle too well, and not just in the agents on my own team and my own firm, but in fact, also with a lot of my coaching clients over time. And that's a conversation we have to have about what their big why is, what's really driving them to do what they choose to do, because it's rare where someone is in fact in the business of real estate just for the fun of being in the business of real estate. That includes investing. That includes really any and every part of this process. That said, this is a phrase I use fairly often with my coaching clients. There are as many ways to do this business as there are people in this business, right? Largely, a team is built around the singular individual who chooses, as you've just mentioned, Monica, to take the plunge and to in fact drive forward. And then you find people who fill the void of what you choose not to do, or what are not your dollar productive activities, what you don't like to do, or in fact what helps you run faster and keep your rate per hour higher. Those are really important lessons that many people fail to learn until much further along the process than many others. But getting really in touch with why you're doing this business in terms of like using motivational goals and then holding your people accountable to them hard and fast is a really important thing that we're going to go over later today. With that said, let me offer you a quick introduction of who I am. So my name's Matt Tully. Sorry, had to put on some gloves here. I'm visiting my parents because my dad's getting us a surgery tomorrow, and we are having a cold snap where it is barely 40 degrees here, which really surprised me. All of that said, I've been a real estate agent the last 15 years. My team and I serve Lower Manhattan as well as Western Brooklyn. I also do a fair amount of business in Fire Island Pines, just on the 4 miles off of the South Shore of Long Island. I've been a coach for over 13 years. I've had the great honor to, in fact, build 2 teams. And I say built 2 teams because one of them failed miserably. And the other one I had to build from scratch from a lot of the lessons that I learned from that team falling apart. I've also been a co-founder and co-owner of 2 firms of my own. Let's not jump ahead just yet. I again was honored to be hired as the team leader of 2 of Keller Williams' largest offices, roughly 1,000 agents apiece. And I bring that into play because I'm really big on building those who choose those who choose to work with me. I've worked as a national regional director under Chris Suarez and Ben Kinney for what is now Place Inc. We, in fact, wrote the book on how to grow an organization of scale, as well as to expand your business into markets outside of those which you currently serve. And that said, in terms of what I do as a coach, I generally coach agents who do anywhere between 6 million in sales volume a year, all the way up to north of 2.5 billion with a B in sales volume annually. And I know that is a mind-bending number for many people. That said, that can be a part of the organization that you choose to build by design. What I aim to offer my clients: data-driven strategic advice. I aim to be an advocate for your growth, as well as hold your feet to the fire to the goals that you choose to create for yourself. And I specialize in helping grow your team, grow you as an agent, as well as your general development, and aim, if in fact it is aligned with your values, to expand your business into other markets that are similar to the ones you already serve. Now, to the content of today's presentation. So mindset and intention. Intention is really where it all begins, right? And though I know that you probably have all heard from at least one coach before, I say very often, like 90% of this business is mindset. If you are in a great mindset, and in fact you choose to put anything before yourself, you generally can accomplish that task. It might not be in all one day, might not be in 1 month, might not be in 1 year. With the right mindset, you can do just about anything. So let's look at the mindset of being a business manager versus a business owner. Let's start over here on the left side. As a business manager, generally you are the sole driver of your business, meaning that if you were to step away from your business, go on vacation, if you in fact were to walk away, what happens to your business while you're away?
Yeah, nothing. It kind of falls apart.
Yeah, it's why many real estate agents, especially early on, are really, really scared to go on vacation, or they're constantly checking their phone, or when they choose to go away, when they need to go away, whether it's for medical or personal reasons, they cannot really fully unplug. And that is one of the biggest dangers of someone who's in this business, right? We don't get paid by the hour as agents, right? We in fact have to know how to value our own time. We have to, in fact, set boundaries so that we can recharge and be the best advocates and protectors of our clients that we can be. That said, as a business manager, like when you're in this mindset, your lead generation is generally focused on finding buyers and sellers. That's like, as agents, that's what we aim to do. That is the core of our business. That is something that's not going to change. Even, in fact, when you shift over into business owner mindset, and there's nothing wrong with business manager mindset. It is just a different mindset. And then the last of the three major facets of business manager mindset is that your output is generally focused on your personal goals as drivers. And those who run a team from this mindset are running it from the singular, the rainmakers goals and the rainmakers mindset. It is not a collaborative approach. It is one that is, in fact, driven from that individual. Now let's look over on the right side of the slide. Nope. I have a trigger happy finger here. Sorry about that. The business owner mindset. You as an individual are not the sole source of income. You, in fact, generally have multiple ways that you're generating business. That might mean that you are not solely a buyer-focused agent. You may work with buyers and sellers. You may, in fact, have a steady stream of income coming from either your investment properties, either, in fact, a property management entity, like that, whatever that looks like for you. Like I said, there's many ways to do this business, as there are people in this business, right? So whatever that looks like for you, creating an opportunity where your business is going to run without you necessarily being present. That includes surrounding yourself with powerful people who are similarly goal-driven. Your lead generation as a business owner looks a little bit different, not just for buyers and sellers, but in many cases, even if you choose not to in fact build a team around yourself, hunting for talent is a really important part of that process. And that might be staff to support you in various ways. That may be an ISA or an OSA, like an inside sales agent or an outside sales agent who's in fact helping support your lead generation mechanism. That may be buyer's agents. That may be a transaction coordinator, marketing coordinator, anything of that variety. And I say talent for staff because what happens if your assistant were to pick up and leave tomorrow, Monica? What would it look like if one of, like, a member of your organization were to say, I unfortunately have to make an exit here, and you don't have talent to fill that role?
Yeah, that would be an issue. Actually, the agents would be less disruptive than my personal assistant. That would be a nightmare.
Well, that's a real thing, though, right? This is also why I generally, with my coaching clients, I talk about regularly creating recruiting goals that you hold yourself accountable to, because having a bench of talent for any particular role that you currently have, as well as for those that you are looking to fill on the horizon based on however you choose to design your organization, is really, really key. And why I say a bench, you may not be ready to hire them today. However, if you realize that there's great chemistry, if they're similarly goal-driven, if they are chomping at the bit, if they are ready to go, if they're licensed and ready to step into your organization, but it might not be the right time in their business to make a switch. If they are, in fact, not licensed and they will be in 3 months, that's a great opportunity to have a conversation with that person and to earmark it. Put it on your calendar, put it in your CRM to say, hey, I need to follow up with this person because this is someone who can help get me to where I choose to go, and I can help them where they choose to go. It's two ways, right? That said, like, definitely something to explore. If that is in fact something that's of interest to you. Accountability is a big piece of the business owner mindset. With accountability, I generally prescribe that it needs to be data driven. If you are not familiar with your own average days on market for a listing, for the average amount of time that it takes for your contract to close process, what the number of units that you've done last year versus this year, your average price point, your average price per square foot. These are really important points of data for you as well as for all of those who you choose to surround yourself with to be aware of. And why I say that is because this creates a transparent conversation about how people choose to do business, about how they produce, and creates a culture of production, which is something we celebrate each and every day. Because if you can raise your average price point, if you in fact know, if you're the master of your local market, if you're the economist of choice in your local market, that's a really powerful way to acquire business just by having conversations with people. And that said, there are also opportunities for accountability with the technology used as well as people that you hire. If they say that they're going to do a certain number of deals in a year and you're not holding them accountable to those goals, contrary to what we said earlier, they're either choosing to live and grow with you or they're choosing to slowly atrophy if they're working under you, right? And if they're starting to atrophy, if you're not holding them accountable to their goals, if you're not helping grow them to where they could choose to achieve them over time, how likely are they going to be to stick with you when things get tough?
Yeah, I don't think very likely.
Yeah, like the most robust organizations I see over time, the ones that I work with that really retain their people, they help them achieve their goals. They are very aware of their personal and their business situations. Because how many agents live paycheck to paycheck, especially early on? Many, right? So being very painfully aware of like where your people are from an interpersonal level, as well as what if your technology is serving you or if it's working against you, like all these points of accountability are business owner mindset and really important. That said, again, no, there's that trigger finger again. It's really powerful to in fact start looking through this lens if it is not something that you currently espouse in your practice. The last big major facet of business owner mindset is your vision, setting goals for yourself as well as for your broader team. We're going to talk about goals in a bit. As a business owner, generally speaking, you're working as a servant leader. That means a lot of times you're putting the needs of your organization before that of yourself, which I'm sure, Monica, you can speak to on some level at the very least, because it's not all about you all the time. And then beyond that, your vision has to be structured with intention. As a leader, are you always right? None of us can be right all the time, right? That said, we aim to lead by using and choosing a direction that is backed by solid proof. And then if in fact it's not the right direction, we admit it and we aim to redirect with transparency. This, like, business owner mindset is a lot of work. It is also a really powerful way to intentionally grow your business over time, and so that your business works even when you're not present. It doesn't happen overnight. However, it is one of the most incredible ways I've seen people transform their real estate businesses, their teams, and their lives over time. Any questions on this before we move forward? All right. Signs your business is ready to grow. This is a question I get all the time. I like people who raise their hand and say like, hey, I really want to start a team. And we're going to talk about intent behind that in just a second. I generally say that you have more leads than you can handle alone in your current state. That means you as a rainmaker. That means all of the agents who are under you. And what does that look like? Generally speaking, as a rainmaker, you have a minimum of 2 active, 2 pending, and 2 that are closing in that month at any given point in time. So if you're not on track for 24 units a year as a lead agent, that, like, it's not to say that you can't grow an organization around you with less than that. That's generally an organic metric that I use as a given. There are ways to in fact navigate that if you have higher price points and higher commission rates per deal, if you're looking to in fact lean into investing in your team financially more and like leveraging that through talent more and more. However, That's a number that I have found to be a fairly universal truth in most markets that that my clients work around the country. That's in SoCal, that is in Florida, that is in Texas, that is in the greater Northeast. Really depends on how or how you choose to structure your business. However, been a universal standard. Ceilings of achievement. If you see year after year that the same number of units, or roughly speaking, within 2 to 3, is a recurring pattern that is not a number that you can break through, that tells me that you're having a breakdown of some variety. Either there's too much that's slipping through the cracks, or in fact and that might be a system or a strategic hire you need to make. And or it might mean that you need to make an investment in yourself and your skills, or in the skills of those around you, whether that's the agents or in fact your staff. It well could be that you need a new piece of technology to support that as well. Now, even if all of these indicators are present in your business, does that mean you need to build a team? No. In fact, it means that you have a really healthy business. And that said, if you look at all of the major reports that look at agent trends, at who's performing on a high level, there are incredible agents who act as solo agents with a support team that they build around them, who have very profitable businesses that in fact continue to drive them forward, and in fact create incredible opportunities for themselves as well as for those around them. That said, that is a choice, and in fact, team building is not for everyone. Like I said, my first team failed miserably, and in fact, I lost a lot of money over time because I was investing money in a lot of the wrong places. I was not guided in ways that were constructive with my first team. That said, with my second team, that became a very different story, and both my business partner and I aimed to learn from our failings of the first time around. And a big reason why the second round worked was because we started with intention, and I would encourage all of you to as well, if that's the case. Here are some examples of intention setting that I hear very, very often from real estate agents. If your intention is to make a lot of money selling real estate, and that's why you want to start a team, I would caution you, because in many cases, if you really invest into your own business as a solo agent, in many cases, you can do a lot more yourself with a staff around you as points of leverage and referring business away that you choose not to work, than in fact to start building a team. Because building and holding a team accountable and working through a lot of that process is in fact a lot of your time and energy that could go towards building that business. If any of you are parents, you're familiar with this particular principle of nurturing others before yourself, or if in fact you've been a manager of any variety. If your intention is to create a passive income strategy, in fact, let's see, Julie, you were good enough to share earlier. You've invested in income generating properties. And in fact, I generally would encourage you, if it is your aim to in fact create a passive income strategy, invest in properties before people. A team can be a passive income generating strategy, but it's, as I mentioned here, it's generally a byproduct of really hard work, mentorship, development of your business and people, not to mention retooling and adjusting as the market shifts. And that could be a team of 3 to 5 people. That could be a team of like that team that I work with that's done north of $2.5 billion sales volume for the last few years. They have 89 people, but they are held highly accountable, and they shift like a school of fish in sync as the market shifts around them, because they aim to be market leaders in their local market. Intention number 3, creating a retirement strategy. This is a very common reason why people in fact come to me. A team can be this. Within 3 to 5 years of really hard and smart work with the right hires, you can have a machine that will continue to produce income for you over time. Now, it wouldn't be as profitable as it would be with you at the helm, because you'll have to hire someone to replace you as the lead. That said, it is a really incredible way to create a retirement strategy over time. if you are not going to sell your database as you choose to make an exit from this business. And that in fact, that last bit is something that a lot of agents who work their database with a very regular cadence, anywhere between 24 to 33 touches, if not uppers of 39 touches a year, can in fact use as a return on the work that they've put into their database over time. That in fact you can sell it to a local agent in some cases. There was one of my clients just sold hers that regularly produces, I think, in the realm of $20 million worth of sales volume a year just from her database, not from new leads. For the past 10 years, it's produced 20 million. She sold it for $250,000 cash to an agent recently. That said, intention number 4 is where I'd really aim to offer it makes the most sense to growing a team. If you're looking to maintain and grow your current business, if you are looking to take more market share, to broaden your reach, to grow, if you're naturally a nurturer, that's where I would say like that you'll likely have more success here. Not a given again, like I said, many ways to do this business. That said, it's also not always a clear path forward in terms of what your team's going to look like, and this is also where the greatest opportunity lies. Before we jump into the next set of slides, any questions about intention? Any questions about signs that your business is ready to grow? Cool. All right. How do we make it happen? This is where the fun stuff happens. Motivational goal setting has to be fueled by a really powerful why. And this is not a surface level answer. This is not something that, in fact, most people are willing to share, even if they have an existing relationship with you. You really have to dig down deep, ask a lot of questions about if they're driven by money. You have to ask, like, okay, so what would that money do for you? Like, what would that earn you? Like, how would that make you feel? Like, if they end up talking about financial freedom in that conversation, you have to say, like, okay, financial freedom is a big deal. Now, why is that important to you? Like, how would that make you feel on a regular basis? How does that make you feel now? The idea is that if you can find that why, if you can get to the heart of the matter with that agent, with that person, you have a likelihood of being able to invoke that when they really need to have their feet held to the fire from an accountability perspective. Does that make sense? Okay, we've got different goals here, personal versus business. Your personal is, like, most people would think, okay, real estate's work or is in fact a profession. Why am I holding my people accountable to their personal goals? They are a human being, and their personal goals are largely going to fuel their success in the world of business. So if it is in fact one of their personal goals to get them to get their family to Disneyland for a week-long vacation, which for those of you in SoCal is not an especially long commute. However, is in fact, or that may be that may well be a milestone for them, that they can go on that and not have to worry about their business in the meantime, and not have to worry about the income that they're going to miss while they're away. These are all mindset questions, yeah. In fact, right? Having a mindset of abundance versus the mindset of lack, creating more than enough business before they leave, being able to leverage what's existing to one of their colleagues while they're away, and then being able to step right back in as they get back. That's a really powerful mindset shift. That said, holding them accountable to, like, you said you're going to get your family to Disneyland by this date, just like we would say to a seller, right? Your goal is to get to Disneyland by this date for a week's time with a budget of X. What actions have you taken today toward that goal? Like, asking powerful questions that are tied to goals, that are motivational goals tied to their why, you will be able to take them to the moon and back if in fact if it's tied to that why. And if it's let's see, beyond that, finding points of focus, finding what really is a breakthrough moment for them. Take notes on that, underline it, loop back to that on a regular basis, not to be a nag, but in fact to advocate for them so that they're not negotiating themselves out of what they've chosen to create for themselves. I'm going to repeat that real quick and rewind. They are very likely negotiating themselves out of what they would choose for themselves. We say so often as agents that we're really powerful negotiators, right? How have you ever negotiated yourself out of something you've chosen for yourself? Be it a dream, be it a vacation. Yeah, like we all have. Yeah, we all have. And in some cases it's a compromise. However, like when you're talking about your people holding their feet to the fire, if they say that that's really important to them and advocating for them to get there, they will, like, that is a major retention mechanism and a way to, in fact, keep them in your world that much longer.
I think that's where I've lacked the most. I think when I got into real estate, it was need driven. I needed to make money for my family. So I was driven because I needed to be driven. And I've had a hard time with people who need to work, but then don't do the things that they need to do in order to reach their goals. But I need to grow in that because it is what it is. And I need to figure out a way to motivate them to continue to reach for their goals. And it has felt like I don't want to feel like I'm babysitting people, but yet I need to grow. I need to grow in that area. That's the end of the story. So
there are two things to highlight there. There's the old adage, you can lead a horse to water, right? That's number one. Like, they have to choose to, in fact, advocate for themselves first and foremost. Second is that in fact, if you've chosen to align yourself with them, you can advocate for them X, Y, Z. If you can get the why in place, if you can get their goals in place and accountability in place, they're still not doing it. My question to you is then going to be, what would it look like if you could take all this energy that you're putting out to hold them accountable and drive them toward these goals and aim to recruit someone who would, in fact, be a lot more aligned with your broader vision?
Yeah, because honestly, right now it feels like it was much easier just to run my own business and focus all that energy into my own things instead of having to try to create an atmosphere where people will want to work. Like, I don't know. It seems very difficult.
With it is a very common piece of the puzzle with team building today. When we're looking at building out a team, and in fact, the amount of time that many agents have been in the business and the current market conditions compared to now versus when they started, where you see a lot of people taking their foot off the gas pedal. What happens when markets get tough? Those who, like, you either double down and you double down your efforts and you really sink your teeth into like creating more business, or generally we see a rate of attrition of anywhere between 20 to 33%. That is anywhere between 1 in 5 to 1 in 3 agents who leave the business.
Yeah.
And those who've been in the business for 1 to 3 years, they got into the business when the market was on fire, right? In a great way.
Yeah.
Like, the market was hot in 2020, 2021, 2022 in most cases. And as rates started to shift, as the stock market, as the job market started to change, as inflation did its thing, it is a much more challenging market right now. Those, like, find the motivated, not just buyers and sellers. Surround yourself with really motivated people, and it will be an energizing work environment to walk into. I had the great honor of being recruited into this business by Barbara Corcoran across the bar when I was after abandoning my doctorate at Columbia, because the market crash in 2008 did what it did. The path I chose for myself as a professor was no longer available to me, financially speaking. So in fact, I went back to bartending, and she recruited me into real estate because she knew I was hungry and I was ready to move forward. Surround yourself with the motivated, and it will be an energizing and exciting place to come into from in terms of a workplace. Let's dive back into motivational goal setting and look at business. I really encourage you, when you are talking to anybody who's if you are holding yourself accountable and you're using this as a motivation mechanism, or in fact, if you are working with those around you, focus on the number of units that that you completed last year, the year before, and that you're aiming to complete this year. We're coming up on 2024. And if you haven't already done your business planning, I really encourage you to do so. This is something that I work through with a lot of my coaching clients on a regular basis. That said, from a motivational standpoint, what happens? I'm going to look at two different ways to set your goals. You can either set a moonshot goal, something like, say you've done 20 units this year, and you set your goal at 200 for next year. That, generally speaking, is that going to be a motivating goal, or is that going to be more of a soul-crushing goal? I generally see that more as a soul-crushing goal, because it's without, like, to bring an Albert Einstein quote into the conversation, if you keep doing the same things and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity, right? You'd really have, like, is it to say that is it possible that you could, in fact, 100x your number of deals in a year? Oh yeah, absolutely. Would you have to do a whole lot of things very differently, and in fact, in all likelihood, completely break every system that you had from the previous year and any time you've been in the business before? Yeah, in all likelihood, you would be growing at warp speed all the time. At the same time, if you're going to do the same things and gradually change, I generally prescribe that doing anywhere between 1.25 to 2 times your current number of units in the current year, if it's been a regular trend for you, is generally the window I would aim for. And when you're getting to be like 1.3 to 2.0 times your current trend, that's where I'm asking, how are you going to grow? How are you going to change your activities to get there? And in fact, what is going to be the special sauce that didn't work this year, next year? We have some things in terms of market conditions on the horizon that well may support larger goals next year just by default. That said, that's not going to be everything soup to nuts in this equation. You have to be willing to invest in yourself and really invest in your business development, in your lead generation, to be able to do that. A lot of that is through accountability. And over here on the right side, I've included an image of SMART goals. If you're not familiar, this is one of the great ways to hold your people accountable. Making sure your goals hit all of these 5 criteria: that they're specific, that they're measurable, meaning that there's a specific number of activities that we're talking about, that they're achievable, that they're just out of grasp, like we were talking about moonshot versus like slightly out of reach kind of goal, that they're realistic in terms of within the confines of what you do know, and what you do know you don't know. Like, there's always going to be that don't know portion that will be unknowns, right? But you do know you don't know, that you can in fact change within yourself. And then timely, like saying when this is going to be achieved by. If you can achieve all of those in a clear and concise statement that is regularly reviewable, that's where the old Harvard Business School study from, I think, the 30s states that if you review that goal regularly and it includes all 5 of these criteria, you have an 88% chance, or 88% higher likelihood of achieving that goal. Reviewing it regularly, conferring it, letting other people know about that goal, continuing to strive toward it, having it posted in a place where you're reading it on the regular. All of these are really, really important towards that. And being held accountable, having someone who's going to hold you accountable to that goal, is a part of that process as well. When it comes to accountability, like talking about timeliness, being able to review that goal in a weekly one-on-one, and this is part of the special sauce, not just setting the goal, not just breaking it down into smaller pieces, but in fact, you meeting with your individual agents, those who you choose to surround yourself with, in a weekly one-on-one meeting, so that you can advocate for their growth and they can in fact choose to grow themselves based on that conversation, is really important. And you're going over both their business and their personal goals, and what actions they've taken toward them over time in that session. Accountability. What does accountability look like? Let's look at this image over on the right. What is accountability? Engagement, awareness, openness, and acceptance. I'm sure none of us have ever had like a negative experience when we're talking about this particular word. Like, I know some people who shy away from it and they're terrified of it. They think it's a dirty word. I would encourage you to think, and in fact encourage anyone you surround yourself with, that this is in fact a word that is about manifestation, about creating what you would choose rather than what you're going to create by what falls into your lap. That, and openness, awareness, acceptance. What are we saying? Like, okay, your activities were X this week. Does that align with your goal of getting your family to Disneyland by November of next year? If it doesn't, ask why they've chosen against moving forward with that for themselves. And if in fact they still choose that for themselves, the question is, has your goal changed? Or do we need to change your activities to stay on track for that goal? Engagement, like this, that right up at the top, is exactly that. Like being able to be very direct without emotion in the equation. Because they have to choose this for themselves. What is accountability over on the left side? It's a check. It's checking in on their integrity to, like, based on what they say they choose for themselves. Does that align with their actions? If you track their actions every week, are they showing up on the level that they would need to convert enough buyers and sellers to yield the amount of money that support the goals that they have for themselves? And as I've already mentioned, this is not a dirty or a scary word, and there really should be no emotional involvement in the process. Because if they don't choose this for themselves, this is a clear decision that they've made in terms of how they choose to show up for themselves and their business, which also informs whether you need to be in business with them in the long term or not. What does a one-on-one look like? Generally speaking, when I'm working with my clients about designing their one-on-one meetings, it is a short 15 to 30-minute meeting, usually 20 minutes, no more. Because if it gets to be over 30 minutes, you are absolutely having a therapy session with someone, and that is the last place you need to be spending your time as an agent. That said, are personal issues going to come up? Are there going to be outside of like the business of real estate issues that come up that draw the attention or draw the time away from the agent word in question? Yeah, absolutely. This is real estate. This is their lives. Like, we have to be open to it. And at the same time, there has to be a point when we draw a line and say, like, okay, I've heard this excuse multiple times over. Is this still your goal, or do we need to talk about doing something different here? How, like, and as a team or as an organization, whether with your staff or with your the agents you choose to surround yourself with, having a daily stand-up meeting to see where people are, in fact, in alignment with their goals is really important. This is a meeting where people are giving like a 1 to 2 sentence answer about what they're doing today, about how it ties to their broader goals, and then it really is aiming to get them revved up. This can be a phone call, this can be a video call, this can be an in-person meeting, depending on how you and your organization choose to meet. And last but not least, regarding accountability, we said that you can't repeat the same actions and expect a different result. So how do you hold them accountable? It's also to ensure that they have a piece of the process that is growing their skills, growing out the resources that they have in their toolkit, whatever that looks like in terms of knowing different forms, knowing different languages, taking different classes, reading different books, all of the above. And that it is a direct extension of the goal set for what they choose to create for themselves. Any questions before we move on to the next section? All right. How do we make this happen? Well, thank you. That is largely the presentation, and I wanted to bring this back out into like a more Q&A forum. How do we make this happen? It is largely step by step, day by day. Like, it is so easy to get overwhelmed in this process. It is so easy to compare yourself to others and or to other people's businesses in this process. I would encourage all of you that it is not going to be something that happens overnight. In fact, something that you have to choose, even like to the point of pain. And I say that very intentionally because there's a lot more pain at the beginning of building an organization than there is pleasure, generally speaking. And also to choose who to look, or who to choose as your advocate in this process. It's rare where you are building an organization like this in a void. It is rare where you are, in fact, you don't have a mentor, where you don't have a coach, where you don't have a at least a friend or like an agent who you admire, who's giving you pointers and tips about and you're not inventing everything from scratch. You're very, I mean, with the number of organizations that I've worked with, Side, as well as what is now Place Inc., as well as Keller Williams, there are so many different points of leverage that you can receive from plugging into a powerful organization. Radius chooses to create that for all of you, and as well as curating a lot of the noise out, and in fact offering you direct lines to what really works well for agents in the market right now. That said, I aim to do the same here. If this session has at all been of value, I've posted a link that is in fact my it's in fact a Google form that will give you information on, or in fact where we can have a further conversation about coaching together, if that would be in fact something that's of interest to you. In fact, before I offer a little bit about the kind of coaching that I offer, and in fact more, any questions, because I'm sure some people have to, in fact, Jed, I know we're getting close to the end of our time.
I don't have any specific questions right now, and I actually do have a 1 o'clock that I need to get to. But I did copy your link, and I more than likely will be filling it out. I think for me, I need to decide. I don't know about the people that I've brought onto my team. Not 100% convinced that they're at all very serious about real estate, and I need to figure out if I'm going. My goal was always to have a team of 10 to 12 agents, and I would still like that. I just need to figure out a different approach. It's been a year with Side, and it's been a very difficult year. Of course, the real estate market has shifted. So putting my focus onto a team has actually dragged my own business down. And it's been frustrating, coupled with what's going on in the market. It just hasn't been turning out. I can see the potential of building a larger team, but it's been difficult. And I need to figure out either go this way or that way, because I'm no spring chicken. I'm 53, and I don't want to waste 5-6 more years trying to figure something out. I want to go in a direction and get there. Anyways,
I really appreciate that, as well as you spending your time here today. I hope at least some of this was helpful.
Yeah.
I'd be honored to connect with you. In fact, if I may, real quick, unless anybody has other questions, though I know you have to hop off, I'm going to share a quick screen of what I offer and how that works. So I offer one-on-one coaching modalities, which can be for you as an individual agent, or in fact that's more focused on team building, how we design your hiring process, how we in fact create your ideal agent avatar, where you're finding your people, what your lead generation is going to look like in that way. If you in fact choose to engage with me on a one-on-one coaching level, I do offer a complimentary monthly mastermind for anybody and everybody who's in a similar level of development to yourself, so that we can in fact talk about what's going on, and in fact bring issues to the table, as well as share resources. I find that to be a really powerful session, generally speaking. I aim to keep them on the more intimate level, though I aim to do a larger session with my coaching clients on a quarterly level. I do group productivity coaching if in fact you are not yet at a level where you're ready to dive into one-on-one coaching, or in fact you're looking to just have your own feet held to the fire on a regular basis, and I have a January launch coming up. And then beyond that, I also do group coursework. If you're looking to build out systems or do some like significant modeling, if you're looking to discover what it would look like to design a director of sales position within your organization to replace yourself as the one who's holding everybody accountable, that is also something I have coming up this spring, not right away in the winter, as well as like a few other pieces. If you ever need a consultation or you're looking to do something project-based, I am also here for that. So all of the above are there, and I'm more than happy to offer you more data on that as we are at the end of our time. I want to thank you all for being here. I really hope this was helpful. And I can certainly stick around for a little bit if people have further questions.
I'm going to head out, but thank you, Matt. I appreciate your time.
Monica, such a pleasure to speak with you. Good luck to you today.
Thank you, Monica.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Jeanette, I know that you joined a little bit late, so please feel free to pick Matt's brain should you choose to do so. The recording will also be sent out to anyone that was in attendance, so I just wanted to make sure and check in with you. Thank you so much for stopping by as well. I'm not sure if maybe Jeanette.
Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it. That was so helpful and some really great little nuggets I took down.
I'm honored, Julie. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. Now, you said that you've been a real estate investor for a while and that you're diving into like the fray, as it were, to look at more of your individual business as well as to potentially build a team. Was there any particular takeaway that was of value for you today?
There was a lot of takeaways. I mean, I do think accountability is one of those big pieces, right? That it can really relate to any role. Yeah. And, whether you're like in real estate or, I do work with Radius as well. And so I definitely can see it relate to all kinds of different roles and different jobs, right? I also thought the piece about doing like the daily check-ins as just like quick check-ins and one-on-ones being quick one-on-ones as well, because you see that a lot of times in companies where meetings are an hour long or longer, right? And people just kind of start multitasking and lose attention and all of that. So I was glad to hear that those were some of your recommendations as well.
This thing, if you're looking to create big things in this life, focus is a must-have. These things generally work against us more than they are tools to strive ahead.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Just with the evolution of social media and short-form content, our attention spans were once like this, and now they're becoming like this. So.
And outside of the field of real estate, I work with a lot of tech founders, with those who are looking to create great futures for themselves in developing a business where they don't necessarily work as a leader, where they haven't necessarily held people accountable, where they haven't worked through people towards a broader goal. That said, focus coaching is, in fact, a modality of coaching that I offer, and that is to help. I work with an interior designer in many cases, in more urban settings, to help you curate your environment to, in fact, make sure that we have a bunker of sorts where it is intended solely for your focus and nothing else comes into play. There's a great tablet that I love to advocate for if any of you are fans of that, and that is the Remarkable tablet. It has no internet functionality other than to back up any document that you create or that you edit on that particular tablet to the cloud. But if you are looking to really bust out a bunch of ideas, if you're looking to work through a system, if you're looking to really not be dragged into anything and everything that we were just talking about that draws focus in social media, it is a really powerful tool for your success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could say that
Oh, sorry, Julie, just really quick. I do have to run. I do have another meeting right now. However, I will keep this Zoom open, so feel free to continue talking. Feel free to have any questions, but Matt, thank you again so much. Your presentation and everything that you spoke about was absolutely super enlightening. And I just wanted to thank you once again for your time. So,
you're so welcome. Glad I could be here. Thank you so much for having me, Ella.
of course.
And Julie, you were saying.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's interesting. We're on the topic of phones. I was curious because a lot of people use their phone for prospecting, right, and calling their clients and all of that. But then with your phone, I notice a lot too that I'll be in the middle of working and then you get sidetracked constantly because you see like this other text message come in, or there's there's so many things on your phone that can sidetrack you. I was just curious, like, other than just obviously having the mental power to stay focused, how do people use their phone for work and stay on the task of prospecting?
You are asking the big questions now. Okay, so so let's look at this from two different standpoints. One, a lot of agents who aim to like create a life by design when it comes to having a curated experience so that they can step away from their desk at whether that is 5 or 6 p.m. because most of my clients, I advocate they design a work-life balance for themselves, that they're not answering text messages until 10, 11, 12 at night, which I know no one here does, absolutely not, under any circumstance.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, never. That never happens, ever. That said, having a dedicated line tied to your CRM, I know Follow Up Boss, that is a feature that is very much so a powerful one that advocates for focus with a lot of my clients. There are various other CRMs that do the same. Having a second line, if not, like, I'm not saying carrying a second phone around, but having a second line that receives your texts, that in fact receives your phone calls, can be a great way to do that. Using Time Check if you have an iPhone, or in fact various focus tools on both iOS as well as Android to curate when certain apps are sending you notifications versus not, and having a whitelist for certain contacts who can reach out to you during certain hours is really important. Like, my parents are of a certain age at this point. As I mentioned earlier today, I'm presently in Austin because I'm helping my dad through recovery from a surgery that's happening tomorrow. That said, my parents are whitelisted where I can get their texts in any time except during my lead generation time. So I can get a text from them, generally speaking, any time of day except for the morning, Monday through Friday. If I am in fact talking about a client, generally speaking, after your lead generation, your dedicated block of time to be able to navigate what's going on. It is very rare where a deal is going to completely fall apart in an hour and a half to 2 hours time where you are focusing on your business that they can't wait. So I like using apps to help design your focus is really important, and I would advocate that you do that for yourself. A lot of agents, in fact, do that. They will shut down anything from dating apps to Facebook to Instagram to definitely TikTok during their dedicated lead generation time, as well as generally, like, once we get into really intentional budgeting of time, into generally like high level time management, it'll even be that they'll say, like, I'm giving myself 45 minutes to an hour on this platform a day and no more.
Yeah.
And we all get the same 24 hours in a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is all in how intentional you are about that time. There's a law of coaching that I come back to because it shows up in my life as it does all of my coaching clients, as well as pretty much everybody else that I know. And that is, all work expands to fill the time allotted. So if you are really specific about what tasks you're doing in a block of time, which is the basis of the whole concept of time blocking. If you say you're going to be lead generating for for FSBOs, or to offer your services as a buyer agent to for sale by owners, or for expireds, or you're going to be door knocking during this time, a specific measurable activity in an area, et cetera. Like it like goes back to the SMART goals we were talking about earlier, right? The idea here is that the only thing you're doing during that time block is that specific activity, and you're writing it on your calendar so that it is a specific block of time in which you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And once you step away from it, you leave it behind, you move on to the next activity. You'll come back to it later, but it is all about ushering in and training up your focus to the highest level possible. Society and technology right now are working against us in all the ways. We have to choose to create that for ourselves.
Right. Yeah. And I do see that a lot with agents, is putting those notification silence. You'll see that where it's like, has notifications paused? Yep. So yeah, it's to use for sure.
Really, 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 really important in so many ways.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention earlier, if you choose to sign up for coaching, or in fact, you reach out via this form, you get via this form, you get a 30-minute free consultation where we can talk about how we might be able to work together. If you sign up for one-on-one coaching before the end of the 2023 year, meaning that if you schedule your consultation with me, if we get your contract signed, you get a free hour going into the month of January that you can use either for business planning or whatever you would choose, which is generally that you're getting half a month of coaching free. So a lot of people tend to find that of interest. Let me interest form. Let me post this again. And there's no obligation until such time that you sign a contract. So it has been a pleasure to speak with you all today. I am sure we could go way down the rabbit hole and back. As I know, there are a lot of things that we could be discussing in all of the topic areas that we covered today. And really, was just a broad stroke and scratching the surface. It has been an honor to speak with you, and I hope our paths cross again soon. I've already talked to Isla about a couple of topics for January, as well as potentially a panel discussion coming up in January. So if this was helpful, please make sure you let the Radius leadership know.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
Enjoy your afternoon.